Okay, welcome to another Microsoft Access example. Today what I'm going to be showing you is a technique that we can use for concatenating fields in a table. So suppose we have a table here. Let's say these are rooms in an office building or conference center, and we have these order IDs filled out. These are requests that we've gotten in. Office number 1, this is just a table ID. Room 101 needs a projector. 102 needs a DVD. So these all came in separately, but suppose they're all for the same day. What we need is a delivery list, and what I'd like to see is this row here will say 101 projector, and then the next row will say 102 DVD player, comma, teleconference. If you're putting together a work order, you want to have it all in one field. You don't want to have it in these separate fields. So we would like code that can run through this table and take, where necessary, where we have 4 different rows, we want to basically combine these into one row with all 4 of these items. So that's where we're going with this. So there's going to be a few procedures that we're going to use here. I'm going to go to just a simple form that I have. I'm going into design view here. This is the form I have to test it out because I'm going to put these in global modules. I'm going to say concat fields. What I want to do is fill in these 2 procedures. In each one of these, I want to declare a record set. So I already have the database declared, so I'm going to get my record set in there, and I'm going to make this string. This is what's going to hold we're going to build this up for every row in our destination table. And this is a variable to hold the last room number pick 8, because basically what we're going to do is we're going to scroll through the first table. As a matter of fact, let me just name this RS1 or RS source. We're going to scroll through this table, we're going to set last room number, then we're going to go to the next record, and if the 2 of them match, then we're still in the same table, still in the same room. If they don't match, we know we're in a new room and we have to start the string over again. So I'm going to type in some pretty basic code here. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure there's nothing in that table already. Then I'm going to open the record set. I want to have this sorted by room number, obviously. Forgot the parentheses. I want to have this sorted by room number. That's obviously very important because when we go to the next row and we see a new room number, we're assuming that room number is not going to appear again. So this better be sorted. That order by is crucial. All right, so then what we're going to do is we're going to initialize the equipment string and move to that first row. This is RS1. Remember, RS1 is the source table. Now the first thing we're going to do, the most recent room is going to be our first, obviously our first row is going to be the most recent room. And so no matter what's going to happen, assuming, actually I should put one, we want to make sure that we actually have records. But rs1.move first, and what I'm going to do is we have at least one record now. Oh, we set the last room number. Last room number is the wrong one. Okay. And then so we have something in here, and just I'm going to put a null 0 catch in here just in case. So in other words, we're starting this equipment string over again because we're at the first record. Now what we're going to do for every subsequent record, we got to do the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a do loop here, and we're going to loop through everything else that's in the record. So the first thing we're going to do is move next. I have to do it this way. If the question is why am I not putting everything in the do loop? Because the way this is going to work is that if we see a new room, we're going to enter the equipment from the last room in, which means we're always going to be one behind. We're always going to be a room behind. So if I put everything inside the do loop, we could potentially miss the last room entirely. So this is how we have to do it. If we're at the end of the file, if there was only one record to begin with, then we'll get out of there. Now this is the most important line right here. Because what this means is that we're in the same room as last time. We're still in, if we were room number 1 before, we're still in room number 1 now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to concatenate on to this string. Basically, that row in the destination table, I'm building it in a string here, and then we're going to add it all at once rather than concatenating a single field. Make sure I put the comma in there. And else, so means we are in a different room now. This is not the same room we were in before. Okay, then I'm going to take whatever was in equipment string before. I'm not going to add it to equipment string right away. What I'm going to do is take what's already in the equipment string and add it to the new table. And we're going to do that in a separate procedure called add row. Okay, we'll get to that procedure in a bit. Oh, and once we've done that, equip string is starting over from the beginning. So I'm just going to set it to whatever is in this new row. Now, just before I loop, remember, we want to run this line. We want to run this line just before moving next, and that's the next thing we're going to do. And if we are at the end of file, then exit do. You want to have something like this, so you don't end up in an infinite loop. And then I need to do, just in case we're at the last record, but we haven't, we need to do add row one more time, just in case we're at the last record. If I don't do this, this is just like why I don't put everything in the do loop. If I don't do this, we're going to skip the last record. Because that equip string is just standing there. We've basically built it up. We're on the last row, but as soon as we reach that last row and we move next, we're going to exit out of the loop, and we're never going to call it in here. Therefore, I have to make sure we're calling it down there. Okay, and that's it for that. Now add row. Now I'm going to set a second record set. This is going to be our destination record set. And now we're going to add a new row. So what we're passing in is we're passing in the room. This is the last room number that we were in before moving to the next one. And then because we want the previous one, we don't want the present room number because we've already moved on to the next. So I'm adding the equipment string from that previous room. Now that we're done adding to equip string, I want to make sure we're adding less. So this is the least recent room number that's being passed in here. So to that, I'm going to, RS2. That might be it. Yeah, okay. And that's that. So let's go ahead and test this out. And make sure that we're calling concat fields. All right. So let's see if this works. Let's put everything off to the side here. So again, let's just refresh so we can see that table is empty. We can go to the form. Oh, update. That was weird. Okay, and then we'll do a refresh on this table, and we can see that it did that exact same thing. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. So it has room for 101, 102, and now we can see every one of these that has a room in common has been concatenated onto the equipment list.